So when did you actually start working in the entertainment industry?
I started working in the entertainment industry like 1984. In 1984, 85, just doing stuff on the Badboy street team. Did pretty much everything that it was needed to do at that
Right.
time. You know what I'm saying?
So what was it like interning and being a part of an up and coming label, which is super major right now?
Mm-hmm.
But what was that like, the groundwork, the footwork? Because a lot of people, they want to start businesses, they want to do different things, but they don't know the sweat equity that it takes, and they don't know that it's a lot of footwork, a lot of hard work. So what was that like?
It was fun. I mean, it was fun because we didn't really. I wasn't looking at it as work, really as work. It was just something that was fun to do because I was around, I was around Puff. I was around, I was around Mary. I was around Big. I was around Craig Mack. Craig Mack was really my boy that kind of brought me into that situation. So it was like, it was fun for me. It was just, I looked at it, it was fun. It wasn't something that I was really actually thinking of really getting into majorly at the time. It was just something I was just doing because it was there to do, and I had the opportunity to do it, so I just kind of wanted to check it out. Because I was more of an athlete than anything. I wasn't really trying to get into the music industry like that.
And what type of sports did you play?
I played football.
Okay, where did you play football at?
I played football in high school, and then I went to college and played football at Springfield International College.
Shout out to college ball. I love college ball. So when did you decide to take the entertainment industry career seriously and start working with artists?
Well, actually, the funny thing is, working with Craig Mack, after doing the internship with Badboy and everything like that, I actually worked for Cynthia Horner. I was doing something, I was interning for Cynthia Horner. She was like a big publicist back in the day. She still does a thing now, but more behind the scenes. I'm not sure exactly what she's doing now, but Cynthia Horner was the huge publicist at that time, and I was basically a junior publicist. So what I did was I was working with 112. We had a situation we were doing with 112. I worked with 112, worked with Mary too, Jodeci, and those were the groups that we were kind of doing a lot of stuff for at that time. But like I said, at that time, I wasn't really fully fledged into the music industry. I kind of had one foot in, kind of one foot out, and I was, like I said, I was more of trying to become a pro player
Right.
at the time. So I took that aspect of my life a little bit more seriously until I actually got a job at Billboard because I left the industry for a while. A lot of things happened behind some stuff at Badboy with my boy Craig Mack, and kind of pushed Craig Mack out the door. And since I was kind of tied to Craig Mack, I went with him.
Right.
And I was his assistant for a few years, so I worked with him for a few years. He even started his own label, Macro Entertainment, in the Columbia Records at the time. And so I was doing that until Craig decided that he wasn't going to do music anymore. And
you know what? That's one of the hard things about working with artists and putting time into managing artists and building artist projects. Sometimes artists just quit on you, and it's like, if I spent 3 and 4 years working on your career and you decide you don't want to do this anymore, it's like sometimes it's work wasted. But I'm pretty sure you made a lot of contacts in the industry, and when I actually met you, I believe it probably was maybe 10 years ago. I probably was 12, and
I don't know if you was 12.
I think I was probably 14. But you were managing an artist.
I managed a few artists, actually.
So tell us about some of the artists you work with.
Wow. First artist I actually would say I managed was an artist named Mike Geronimo. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah, I know about Mike Geronimo.
TVT Records. He was signed to TVT at the time, and I got that situation actually out of the blue because I went to do some stuff over at TVT. I had to get some contacts, and I went over to TVT, and I was working with actually Irvin Lorenzo. He was a producer over there.
Irv Gotti.
But he was a producer over there at TVT, a young producer at the time, and he was working with Mike Geronimo. And I got into a situation working with him as his management. So that was like the first thing I ever did as far as management, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, to be honest with you. But it all turned out good because I made a lot of contacts. Like you said, everything is about relationships.
Right.
You know, it's not even, it's, you know how they say it's about who you know. Sometimes it's not even what you know, but it's who you know.
It's
That's
mostly about who you know, because even when you have credentials and you have experience, it always takes someone you know to give you that shot. And I noticed that the music business is surrounded around who you know and not what you know or what you know how to do. I see some of the best singers still on the street corner. It's because they don't know anyone and they don't have anyone to pull them in, which is kind of unfair, because if you put in work to do something, if you're qualified to do something, you should get a fair shot just like everybody else. But we all know the music industry is not a fair shot. It's all about work and who you know, how much work you're willing to put in, how much money you're willing to spend on yourself and your career. And that's where a lot of artists lose focus at, because they think they're hot, somebody should sign me and this and that. But I mean, you got a lot of competition out here. So artists need to know is money, time, sweat equity. So tell us about Faces Management.
Faces Management started, actually how Faces Management even started was once I left the situation as far as trying to get out of the music industry, which like I said, I had one foot in, one foot out, and I decided that once the Craig Mack thing kind of went south with Columbia Records, I didn't want to drag myself through that, because I kind of seen a lot of stuff going on in the industry that I really didn't like. So I decided to get a regular job.
And when you say things in the industry that you really didn't like, would you care to elaborate on some of those things?
Well, actually, what happened was, I'll elaborate on it because it's been a long time.
First lady with the facts.
Craig Mack at the time, actually, we had a difficult situation with Badboy because Craig thought he should have been the main artist at the time, and which he really should have been, but Puff was kind of tied to B.I.G. Real heavy, even though Craig Mack's record is the one who blew Badboy up, Flavor in the Air. I remember that.
The Big Mac.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we had a back and forth situation with that. So Craig actually left.
Right.
Like I said, I left with Craig, and what happened was he was going through so much stuff with Puff at the time that he kind of actually got blackballed in the industry. If you guys don't know what that means, is that basically his name was kind of put out there for a couple of years or whatever, and he had a hard time getting deals. He had a hard time doing anything. And me being tied to him, I kind of saw that because I was right there with him, and I seen everything that was going on, and it affected me too.
Right.
And once something starts affecting my money, or how, you know what I'm saying, I got children to take care of, I got, you know what I'm saying, rent to pay and all that. So I said, you know what, I can't do this. It's not for me.
Right.
And I took a job with Billboard magazine at the time, and I worked at Billboard for a few years, and I actually they gave me a chance to start my own magazine.
Really?
Yeah, so I published my own magazine called Faces.
I think I remember that.
It was, Faces was out, we was doing good. It was an urban magazine. We was competing with like Right On at the time, and when XXL first came out, but didn't stay around too long. We had some problems with the magazine and some of the people that actually owned it. But that's kind of how Faces period came about as far as a management. Because how that came about was the magazine, we had a monthly situation where we did a showcase every month.
I think I remember that too.
Magazine, yeah. And it was called Hot on the Block. You guys remember, this was like 1997, 98 in that area. And basically, you know, I started managing independent artists or whatever the case may be, and because everybody, they seen how kind of basically how organized I was and kind of how business minded I was at the time. So there was a lot of artists that didn't have that. They were searching for that. So I had the perfect platform for it. I mean, as far as publicity, they were getting publicity in the magazine, and at the same time, they was getting a sense of business and how to run their businesses and actually build brands at the time.
So Faces Music Business Management Consulting consults artists as well as businesses.
Yes, those businesses, mostly labels.
And what type of artists do you look for to bring on board to your company, and what type of companies do you look for?
Well, I look for professionalism first and foremost in artists and companies that I work with, because one thing that they have to understand is that, you know, me, the role that I play, I have to deal with a lot of corporate America. And so, you know, the artists or whatever the case may be, now don't get me wrong, you know, you're gonna get a lot of street artists or whatever the case may be, but my role as management is to kind of cultivate them.
Right.
And teach them how to really be successful in this music industry, because first and foremost is business.
Right.
It's 90% business, you know, there's only like 5 or 10% creativity or the music.
Not even
per
10%.
se. You know what I'm saying? And that's what first and foremost they gotta get, that they have to understand that.
Right.
And so I look for situations, and I look for artists that basically can understand that, and are willing to even just understand that, because you have a lot of artists that are very ignorant, especially
Right.
younger artists now coming up. They think they know it all,
Right.
and you can't teach them. You know, it's very hard to teach somebody to think they know it all.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the professionalism that I look for. If I could sit and have a nice conversation with you, you have a plan in your head of what you really want to do, because most of the time nobody has any plan. You know, everybody just wings everything. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this because this
Let me
person
see
is
what
doing
happens
that.
next,
They
right.
have no type of plan, set situation where they could have. You have to have a plan. You have to have a marketing plan. You have to have an emotional plan. You have to have some type of business plan in general, because you are a business.
Right.